Webflow has a problem. Now, I don't normally make these loom and doom videos. I typically try to stay away from them. However, I am in the Webflow industry and I want the Webflow industry to be healthy. And part of that is because I want my business to be healthy. The healthier the Webflow atmosphere is and the industry is, the healthier my company is gonna be. Hold up, just as I was about to release this video, Webflow sends an email telling me they've made updates to the Webflow Professional Partner Program. Now, I think these changes are a great step towards fixing some of the issues that I present in this video, but I just want to let you know beforehand, they have made some updates, but I do still think most of the video is relevant. If you want to hear my full thoughts on the new changes to the Professional Partner Program, you can keep watching towards the end and I'll share those thoughts. Otherwise, enjoy. The issue is that everyone and their mom are experts. Everyone calls themselves an expert. And I started asking myself, like, okay, if everyone's calling themselves an expert, but that's not unique to the Webflow industry. That's a lot of creative industries because the bar is so low to enter into. It's easier just to call yourself an expert because clients don't exactly know how to tell the difference between an expert and a non-expert. But when everyone and their mom are calling themselves Webflow experts, it kind of muddies the water a bit so that you can't tell who actually is a Webflow expert and who's not. It's the reason why I don't label myself as a Webflow expert, even though I am part of the Webflow Professional Partner Program, which technically are called Webflow experts. So can everyone be an expert? And it's not necessarily a percentage thing. Like, what is an expert? Is it like 5% of people who are in an industry are the experts, the top 10%, the top 50%? I don't know. One of my favorite movies growing up was The Incredibles. The bad guy in The Incredibles was Syndrome. And one line he said always stuck with me because I never understood it as a kid, but as I got older, it started to make more sense. And it's a perfect analogy for this topic, which is when everyone's super, no one will be. And the idea was that he was trying to give everyone in the world superpowers, right? That was kind of his business model. That was his mission. But when you give everyone superpowers, the playing field has kind of leveled. Everyone can not necessarily do the same thing, but everyone has the same skills. And I think that's similar to what's going on here in Webflow. So we have to ask the question, why is this happening? My opinion is that the biggest thing that's causing this is the certificate exam of Webflow compared to the Webflow Professional Partner Program. Those are the two things that I think are causing this because both of them are kind of branded as the Webflow expert thing, right? And when both of them are branded as Webflow experts, right? You can pass the certificate exam, you're an expert. You can also pass the professional partner program and also be an expert. Now everyone is just doing one of these two things and calling themselves an expert, and neither one of them is especially difficult to do. Okay, and let's talk just briefly about why this is a problem for Webflow and even companies like myself. Now, it's not the end of the world, right? But we have already seen a lot of companies leave Webflow and go to other platforms like Framer or even just do custom coded websites themselves because they've seen either limitations within Webflow or they think they're limitations in Webflow or they just weren't happy with Webflow. You look at that and say, okay, maybe the product of Webflow isn't that great. Or you could look at it from a different perspective and say the Webflow product is great, but the people who are building the Webflow websites are not great at building the websites the way that they should be built. For example, they're putting lots of really bad code in the style sheet and they're bogging things down. They're not compressing image files. They're not compressing video files. The website is not structured well. They have bad framework. Whatever the case, they could be doing any one of those things. And then they pass it off to their client and the client just looks at the website and say, well, the person who built it they seem to know what they were doing. They did a good job, but the website just isn't good. And so we're going to leave and go to Framer. But actually, Webflow could have done a better job, but the person who built it just didn't really know what they were doing. And they were an expert, right? They called themselves an expert and we didn't get an expert website. And I think that is the big issue. And I also want to step in here and say, I have no clue about the financials of Webflow. I don't actually know what their growth is. I don't have a behind the scenes look. I can only speak from my experience, from what I see from myself and companies that I work with, and also what other companies and agencies work with as well. I work with companies all the time who come to me and say, we've worked with 5 different Webflow developers and none of them knew what they were doing. And they clogged up our style sheet and there's no consistency in the frameworks. And I'll look in these Webflow websites and it's a mess. And so whose fault is this? Is this Webflow's fault? Is this our fault as a Webflow agency or Webflow freelancers? And I don't necessarily like to just go around blaming people, especially since I don't know the answer to the question. But I think if we look through and ask these questions, I think we're going to be able to find the answer, or at least we're going to be able to find where the problem is coming from. That way we can solve it and actually come up with a solution for the problem. And so I think think two things are true. I think Webflow can do a little bit better of branding these programs so that the certificate exam, people aren't calling themselves Webflow experts, and the experts program, people are not calling themselves experts, or at least pick one. And I think one thing that could happen is they could brand these two programs better. The certificate exam, the bar is so low for passing that exam that I don't think people should be calling themselves Webflow experts just after passing an exam. I think anyone knows that just because you go to school for something doesn't mean you actually know how to do it and do that well for clients. On the other side of things, what are we calling this expert program? Is it the professional partner program or is it the expert partner program? I think that could also help. And also, again, I don't know how many leads are actually coming through this system, but maybe raising the bar a little bit higher so that it's more difficult to get into this partner program. And so you know that people who are coming to this partner program to hire designers and developers, that they're actually going to be good at what they do. Because even I send leads over to the partner program and they'll come back to me later on and say, we didn't really get what we were looking for. And so it makes me even question, should I even be sending people over to the partner program if I can't work with them? Because I might not be doing them a service. I also know, saying that I probably wouldn't have even gotten into the partner program if the bar was higher, because I probably shouldn't have gotten in when I did. At this point, I probably should be in there. And then one more thing I'll say on the topic is that one thing I think we as Webflow pros can do to help play our part, again, this is not necessarily our problem, but it could become a problem in the space years and years down the road if a lot of companies leave Webflow. One thing we can do, I think, is we can just add it to our messaging that, hey, look out for the people who are calling themselves experts who aren't actually experts, so that when companies come into this space, they know that there's a lot of mud, there's a lot of things that have been watered down, and there's a lot of people calling themselves experts when they might not actually be, and that's something you should look out for. All right, so my thoughts on the new professional partner program. First of all, there are two different tiers. There is the certified partner tier, and then there's also the premium tier, and those are now based on a point system. So if you get a certain amount of points, which you can get points by selling websites, once you reach a certain amount of points, you get bumped up to the premium tier. And then also if you sell to enterprise level clients a lot, you can also get the enterprise badge. So if you get bumped up to the premium tier, there's some additional benefits, and also you get obviously the premium tier badge. You can get bumped up in the partner directly, so you're going to get shown more often in the partner directory, and also matchmaking, you're probably going to get more clients sent your way if you're in the premium tier. I really like that. I think the incentive is great. It makes you want to sell more Webflow websites. Second is commission. So you can make a commission on the websites that you sell. I think it's 20% for most partners. So you get a 20% referral fee, and then when you add your partner codes, you get that 20% referral fee, and you also get the points based on the site that you sell. So the higher level site that you sell, the more points you get, and the more points you get, the better chance you have of bumping up to the premium partner tier. There's also a new dashboard. So previously, a lot of this partner information was kind of just scattered through different dashboards and Slack, and just like in different places, and it's really hard to find. I absolutely love the new dashboard that they have in your own Webflow workspace. It means you can just log into Webflow and your partner information is just there. You can see your commission information. You can also see your points that you have stacked up, and all of the other overview information is just there in Webflow, and I absolutely love that change. So overall, I really like the changes. I like the incentive-based structure, and I also think it's a great way to bump up people who are selling Webflow sites more frequently in the directory, and also for matchmaking purposes. I think it's great, and I think it's a great step forward towards fixing some of the things that I mentioned in this video. If you like this video, let me know. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.